Thank you. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here for our April board meeting. To start, are there any public comments that do not pertain to an item on the agenda? Okie dokie.
Actually, Michelle, I just saw, I think Dr. Fuchs raised her hand.
Oh, sorry. I can't see that.
I raised it and then I unraised it. There's an item that's on your agenda, but it's way down at the bottom and I just cannot stay the whole day to get to it. It would be Joyce McClure's letter that was sent to you. May I make a public comment early?
Sure.
That's okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
I saw thank you whoever sent me the notice of the meeting. I haven't received one in a long time. It's been a year since I've been here. So whoever sent that, thank you. And I saw Dr. McClure's letter in the correspondence section. And dry needling is something that I had been involved with in 2009 and worked on it for over 4 years plus through to the decision by the appellate court. So Joyce just texted me and said she's trying to join the meeting but couldn't access it. Is there a phone number for her to do it maybe? I said I just tried to join the meeting, but I'm not able to access it by phone, apparently only by the computer desktop app. Might she have a phone she could?
I can post it in, we do have a phone, there is a phone number I can, that she can dial in. I can post it in the chat if you'd like, or email it to her if you have that, however.
Could you text it to her?
Possibly.
Sharon, if she's yeah, so Heather, just put it in the chat and Sharon can take it from the chat. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Do that. Yeah, because this is related actually to Dr. McClure's letter. And then I know a Dr. Fishkin sent a letter in and it may have been way too late to distribute it to you. But in regards to, oh, I'm sorry. Where did that go? Bear with me 1 second. So maybe Dr. McClure could join us. I apologize. 03446. So if she just dials 503-446-4951, she can get in. Or does she have to do all of that?
She'll have to dial the number and then she needs to put that the 9 or 10 digit plus pound in as a code.
Okay, I just texted it to her.
Yeah.
So maybe if she can get in, she can hear this. But I just want to support Dr. McClure's shocking to me because she was president of the board at the time that I was working with that. And then Dr. Cote I've been involved with. I've contacted him also, Dr. Guerrero. And I want to support Dr. McClure's request to renew this discussion, and that I have a lot of background and information, and I would love to meet with one of you one-on-one and just kind of lay the foundation and give some background information so that maybe this is a discussion that can be had further. And that's my public comment about that. Can't see me, can you? I really, here I am. New haircut. Look at that. Sorry about that. Anyway, I that's what I wanted to say. I support Dr. McClure and others who would like to consider adding this into our toolkit.
Great, thank you.
All right. Sorry, I had to like move my work spot, so now I'm all discombobulated. Okay. All right. Should we go to the executive director's report?
Yeah, well, actually, the consent agenda, we just have today's agenda that has no amendments to it.
Okay.
And as far the executive director report, and that was part of last night or yesterday's carry on. If you have not received it yet, it's in your email inbox. Our budget, so now is April, we're just coming up to the end of the biennium for 23-25. Right now, as of the end of February, we have an estimated ending cash balance of $294,718, which translates into about 2.75 months of expenditure reserve. For 25-27's budget, Dr. Wagner and I presented our governor's budget to the Education Subcommittee for Joint Ways and Means on February 20th, and got interesting questions, and got no movement on that budget yet. Just heard yesterday from LFO that they're just now starting to get through the smaller budgets, so we should see some movement in the next couple weeks. Excuse me. For the 2025 legislative session and bill tracking, we have that list of 10 bills that we've tracked. Some have been finalized into law, some have died, but those are all in your materials. Again, January's 2025 public meeting minutes aren't going to be available for a little bit. And based on the resignation of Mackenzie Purnell, who was our operations specialist here at the board, and we wish her all the best in her endeavors with her private practice. In the meantime, we are working on getting all of our systems up, getting access to our website, getting access to Inlumen and all sorts of things that decided to go awry within the last week. So it's been a week, and it's only Wednesday. So thank you for your patience and tolerance of us. Congratulations to us for our 2024 accounts receivable honor roll and getting everything reported accurately and on time. As far as that operations specialist, the AS2 recruitment, our interview panel has been phenomenal. We had a record number, 667 applicants for that one position. It was just phenomenal amount of folks interested. We winnowed that down to 10, and now we have a couple who we are following up with. We also have one more interview on Friday. So we hope to have someone get an offer midweek next week and get going on training. So it looks really good. The Inlumen updates, we'll give you Inlumen updates when we have them. And I'm hoping things get resolved here quickly. The PNP subcommittee has almost come to its end for its work for the PNP, and you'll see more information on that later in public. And I was realizing the other day during the meeting that we also need an exam review subcommittee for the board's Oregon-specific exams. And so these folks are gracious enough to offer up their expertise and willingness to review our exams with us. So I'm supremely grateful for that subcommittee. We will continue with our Thursday meetings, monthly meetings, and transition into those exam reviews. And that is, oh, one more thing. Just a reminder that our introduction to the board meeting is May 8th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. So I just wanted to get that on everybody's calendar. And that is your executive director report.
Thank you. Just double checking. I have that on my calendar. I do. Okay, so it is not 9 yet. You're super speedy.
Well, and for just so the board knows, Dr. Sabo for the OCA is going to actually provide his update tomorrow at 9. So he
Okay.
wasn't available today, but he's going to come tomorrow.
Did we get a UWS update?
We do, and it's in your materials.
Sorry. Okay. All right.
I'm trying to go down all this to see what we could cover, and it's
I know.
it's kind of involved. It's an involved public session for sure. Well, I mean, we could actually look at the, well, no, we can't. Not until we look at the policies.
Congratulations on the 2 certificates OBCE received.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Ongoing. You set a high standard. You know, I'm a time killer.
Well, and part of our mad scramble this last week was, and kind of to what Dr. Fuchs was just mentioning, we sent out our public notice of our meeting and materials, actually the PDF of all the materials attached to that email that went out to our 4,700 licensees that were part of that list, and interested parties. And normally that email would have gone out to that same list, but it would have had a link to the website, and the website would have had a link to the materials. And it looks like folks weren't necessarily clicking on the website and following that pathway. So we've gotten really good feedback, public comments, and folks who have gone through the 229 pages of our materials today for this meeting. And hence Dr. Fuchs is here, and a few others who have submitted their comments. So I'm really, really pleased that we've had that reach out. And so we will continue to actually post the materials via PDF in that email rather than posting the link. So, and actually we just had a comment from Rebecca Tobias. This is the first time I've received the email about the meeting in a long time. So that's the second person who has said that. So maybe there had been a quirk in the system, or possibly something going on there on the IT side. So glad everything is righting the ship.
Silver linings. Silver linings.
Well, and I do have to say too that a really big shout out to DAS IT. So now, as you guys know, we are clients of DAS IT rather than having a third-party vendor handle our desktop support and other things. And they have absolutely been phenomenal in this transition. So I really want to give my kudos to them and their assistance in any possible issue that has come up for us. If they don't know the answer, they know who would know, and they've just been wonderful. Yeah, Dr. Fuchs, the agenda is not on our website because I do not have access to our website to edit it yet. So that's one of the pieces that we're working on. Yeah. No, but thank you for the update.
It's been a fun week.
It is actually on our the state's transparency website has it. At least has the meeting and the meeting information. It doesn't have the agenda, but our transparency website does. But our agency website does not. Yeah.
Where would you find the transparency website?
I can
never
send you
heard
the
of
link.
such.
Yeah,
Be
so the
great.
state has a statewide transparency website. I'll send it to you in the chat here in a sec.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
I just talked with Dr. McClure. She's driving. She can't call in now.
Got it. And there's the link.
Thank you.
Sure. Oh, Dr. McClure's here.
Kidding. Good job. All right.
Hello, Dr. McClure, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Oh, splendid. Yes, thank you. Somebody kindly sent me the phone number to log in. I'm driving, so if there's any noise. I wanted to thank the board for at least considering the letter that I sent in regarding dry needling and considering being open to it being within our scope. And I know this is something that has come up in years past. I feel like things have changed. We have a lot more education than we did in 20, 30 years ago. There are more opportunities for chiropractors now to take advanced training in these areas in order to perform the technique safely. I feel like it's definitely appropriate to have in our arsenal. We are one of the broadest scope states in the country. Over half states in the country already do include dry needling in our scope, and I think it's worth us considering whether that is appropriate for us. And that is pretty much, I think, what I said in the letter. If anybody has any questions at all, I'm open to that, but otherwise, thank you very much.
This
Sorry,
is Laura. Oh, go ahead.
Nope, go ahead. I was going to say, anyone have questions?
Well, and you know I'm a public member, Dr. McClure. So tell me what, and I know I've read about dry needling years ago, just being on the board, but I've forgotten. Tell me, I'm picturing acupuncture. Like, so tell me what you use this for.
Excellent. This is more of a musculoskeletal technique versus a holistic technique such as acupuncture. Acupuncture does deal with a lot of whole body issues, systemic conditions. And I cannot speak to it because I'm not an acupuncturist. However, dry needling is more of a way of addressing what we call trigger points, which are hyperirritable foci within the muscle tissue, and direct stimulation can cause those to relax. And a lot of times, trigger points in the muscles, which have been well detailed by Dr. Janet Travell and others over the years, can contribute to persistent patterns of pain and dysfunction, muscular imbalances and whatnot, and muscles being the levers that move the bones. You know, obviously that is a direct connection to what we as chiropractors do. Mm-hmm. And we are in our state, as in others, already trained to penetrate the skin for blood draws, for example, venipuncture. Those are hollow needles. The trigger point needles or acupuncture needles are solid needles, very, very fine. The only argument that I heard when I was on the board, and we listened to this before, was that acupuncturists were concerned that chiropractors had insufficient training to safely perform needle placement, because they were afraid that we could puncture a lung or, you know, whatever. And to the chiropractors, that's ludicrous, because we have vastly more training in terms of cadaver dissection and physiology, anatomy, what have you. So I feel like it's more an issue of being trained as to how to safely perform the technique and add it to our arsenal, much as we had to learn how to safely apply laser therapy, which was not even on the radar when our scope was written into practice back in the 20s.
So where did you, sorry to interrupt, where did you learn how to do dry needling?
One would learn it either at the college, you know, the chiropractic colleges, many of them teach that technique, or there are other providers of training that are qualified, and that would be up to the board to determine what the board felt was significant, or what board felt was appropriate thorough training to allow chiropractors to learn to add this technique safely into their arsenal.
Okay. Does UWS teach anything like that? I guess I could.
Honestly, I don't know. I think that, again, it's an issue of whether, sometimes it's an issue of if the chiropractic college teaches it, then that allows it to be brought into scope. And I know that in past years, Dr. Joseph Brimhall was the president of Western States, and he was very in favor of that, but I don't know whether it ever was actually added into the curriculum because of regulation and whatnot. But I do know that, for example, I believe that New York College of Chiropractic has it. I think Northwestern does. Several other chiropractic colleges either offer a 100-hour training in acupuncture as an add-on to the chiropractic degree, because a lot of the physiology, anatomy, whatever is already contributory to the same degree. But
Okay.
I'm not a curriculum specialist. So I can't
No,
really.
So,
No,
so Lori, before the board gets into full question and answer on this is actually part of our agenda for tomorrow. So Dr.
Sorry.
McClure, are you available tomorrow to discuss if we have questions?
I could be, depending upon, in the first half of the day, I could be available tomorrow. I have a meeting in the afternoon on Friday, so.
Okay, no problem. So,
but I'd be delighted if there's anything else I could help with. I don't know that I'm.
I just know that for this morning we are tight on time, and I'd rather just raise this in due course. So when we get to it tomorrow or a few minutes ahead of time, we'll reach out to you, Joyce, and let you know.
Excellent. Yeah, best way to reach out to me is by phone. If
Okay.
That's okay.
Yep,
Super.
That's fine, and I'll track that down.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for considering it. I think it's a good time.
All right. Thank you so much.
I hope you have a very productive meeting. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
All right, so we do need to transition to our rule hearing.
Could I make a real quick comment?
Sure.
I was trained in dry needling, and it was sponsored through the University of Western States in 2011. This can be a multiple part training. You can have basic training, and then you can have more advanced training. So I did have that, and it was, as I said, sponsored through the University of Western States. Perhaps someone could reach out to me. Also, Cass has my phone number, cell phone number tomorrow, and let me know, because I'd like to hear and participate if needed tomorrow also.
Sure, we could do that.
Thank you. Great.
Thanks. Yep.
So I wanted to give a few minutes to whoever is pulling up the rules and screen sharing.
That would be me. So give me a second. I'm going to go off screen so I can actually make ugly faces at my monitor. So give me a sec. Hold on. All right. Y'all can see that okay?
Yes.
That better? Okay. So this one is for our very first rule up. Sorry, I'm going to make you sick. Are
Okay.
we entering into rulemaking? Yeah.
I mean, it's not exactly 9 o'clock.
I'm just going to give you a lowdown really quick. So what you're seeing is actually the documents that were filed with the Secretary of State. I don't have the red line versions. This actually versions will show you the red line, but they're strikeouts rather than red line. And that's about it. I can get it into red line if we need to, but just for right now, I wanted you to see what the actual filing looks like. And what we're doing on this rule was just updating the rule format and some minor language changes. So nothing too major. So yeah, Michelle, if you want to enter rulemaking, we can.
Okay. I'm like, do I have to wait till it's 9 on the dot? Okay. So we will enter rulemaking for OAR 811-010-0120.
And I don't believe we received any public comment on this rule. But so no changes in that portion. Remember, we changed board to OBCE when it was appropriate to do so. We did away with the subtitles. Again, doing away with the titles of the sections rather than leaving them in. And that is really the changes.
Any comments, questions, motions?
I will make a motion that we amend or accept the rule as amended, OAR 811-010-0120. That was kind of fumbled. Did I say it right?
You're good.
Yeah,
you got it covered.
Second.
That was Seth?
Yep.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, we will take a vote. Seth?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
And an aye for myself. Motion carries.
Great.
That
Now let me
closes rulemaking on OAR 811-010-0120.
I will get the other one pulled up here in just 1 second.
All right, so we will open rulemaking on OAR 811-015-0025.
I'm just actually pulling up. So this notice, I'm not seeing any changes made, but I'm going to pull up my notes from last January's meeting and just verify that that's what we're looking at here. Give me 1 minute. Okay. So if the board remembers, we brought this to last January's meeting under the topic of website review of initial/CE vendors. And we were looking at actually individual pages on our website. So we went through, if you remember, the DC first year renewal, CA initial training list, DC first year renewal and so on. And then we got to the CE list itself, and this was about top, so 811.015.0025. So this rule, section 4, this section, oops, oh, there we go. Presumed to be approved. So the board wanted to take the list off the website, but keep it available until after rulemaking. So we felt like the rule needed to be modified for us to do that. If everyone remembers this discussion.
I think it's a simple solution.
So this could look like that. And then the formatting and numbering would change, obviously.
This is
Are you gonna-
Lori. So, oh, sorry. I just want, so we gave notice that we were going to be removing the section 4.
I don't know what it said. It says updating rule language regarding continuing education list. Seth, were you gonna say something?
No, sorry, just clear my throat. Sorry. No, I just said I thought it looked like a good solution.
Miriam and Heather, feel free to chime in as to how this affects us.
Yeah,
the
this is
CE
Miriam.
list.
I was looking at it and I'm not sure if it entirely needs to be removed because, or maybe specified that we're still doing this during an audit. So if we are auditing somebody, and of course it's like not okay, or it's not, by CE rule, it doesn't follow the CE rule, we're still letting them know that. But I don't know if this specifically speaks to that or if it's just for the list that was on the site.
Yeah, this conversation was specifically about the list on the site.
Okay.
Well, but to Miriam's point, I'm wondering if we need to keep those first couple sentences, since that's what we do during an audit, unless that's stated somewhere else.
Those are my thoughts were going to be, and then just remove that last sentence. The board will maintain a list of disapproved courses.
So do this instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because it was really the issue about the list. It wasn't whether the licensees were informed or not.
Does that look okay to everybody? I'm gonna assume the answer is yes.
Looks good.
Yes.
Yes, I was just looking back on seeing if I had any notes on it. But yes, it looks good.
Any other comments or motions?
I'll make a motion to accept OAR 811-015-0025 as amended.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, we will vote. Seth,
Aye.
Scott,
Oh my God. Aye. Sorry.
Corey,
Aye.
Lori.
Aye.
Aye for myself, motion carries. That closes rulemaking on OAR 811-015-0025.
All right, let me bring the other one up. Give me 1 second. Now, I do know that for this rule, we did get public comment. And I believe, I am not sure if we sent that to you in your carry-on or if we want to share them now. Let me get those up here just a sec. Okay, that's not. All right, we have one. What do you want to see first? Do you want to see the rule first, or do you want to see the public comment first?
I think the rule.
Okay. So, here we go.
So we'll officially open rulemaking for OAR 811-035-0005. We were going to update rule language regarding patient abandonment.
That's right. So here's the cross out. And if you remember, we added, the PMP committee was concerned about creating a patient abandonment policy. And then Dr. Alley and I thought it was just a little bit more important than just having as a policy. And so we wanted to incorporate into rule. And this is what the board worked on in January's meeting, the underlined and deleted portion.
Can you make it a little bigger, please?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Is that better?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And I also think Dr. Sabo had a public comment about it too, and I'll just have to track that down in a second.
Okay. I remember this now. Is everybody okay if we go to public comment?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Disregard the second one. We'll get to network chiropractic later on today or tomorrow, but really it's this first change.
Hmm. Okay.
And let me check my public comments here really quick. Okay, so here is Dr. Sabos. Can you see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
So he's just asking about examples of non-discriminatory reasons. And we had good conversation about this on last January.
So if we were to do that, I feel like putting it in a rule wouldn't necessarily be appropriate, but maybe pointing them to the PMP would be more appropriate and having a more lengthy discussion there.
To me, the phrase non-discriminatory is self-explanatory.
Yes, you would think so.
I mean, my feeling is, I mean, you could literally phone book of what non-discriminatory means, and I feel like it's a slippery slope if we start throwing out examples, even at a P&P.
Yeah.
Oh, Pandora's box.
I agree.
Do we need a definition of non-discriminatory?
I'm sure it already exists somewhere.
It's the opposite of discriminatory.
It's really helpful.
Sorry. we can look it up on Webster.
Well, and that was part of the discussion from January too, is kind of the rabbit hole of listing out what conduct could be or not be. And it, if someone gets terminated for whatever other reason, it's not listed, then they're going to have an issue. And so it just gets much more complicated than it needs to be.
Well, especially now that we have, the concept of microaggressions exists in the vernacular and is in, training now for DAS. I mean, that's a whole sub level of discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Eternity.
Should that say at least when the patient has been given notice of a non-discriminatory reason, or does that really matter?
That let me look at the actual rule because it may be there's my calendar. Yay. Hold on. No, that's not what I wanted.
I think it was on that same one, just a different tab.
Okay. 3005. There we go. For the relationship for any non-discriminatory reason. So what you were looking at was Vern's version of the original rule, not our changes. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
So the Oregon Health Authority talks about this too and just uses non-discriminatory language and doesn't really, I mean,
So I'm looking at Merriam-Webster online on non-discriminatory. The definition is literally not discriminatory, colon, fair.
yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
kidding you. And they also don't have a hyphen on non-discriminatory. It is, then Webster is
Really?
not, it is not hyphenated.
Maybe that's the
interesting.
other type. That's the other type of discrimination. I'm kidding. That was a great public comment. I nothing further to add.
So actually, we have a comment in the chat from Rebecca Tobias asking if there, let's see, is there time expectation for the notice?
To the patient?
Patients must be provided written notice, this section right here.
Yeah.
I mean, we could change it to say patients must be provided timely written notice or something, but I think
I don't know about sticking a time on it just because, I mean, we've had an instance where we had to tell a patient we couldn't see them anymore, but they were scheduled like 2 days apart and he was inappropriate with a patient. So when we couldn't have mailed something, he wouldn't have gotten it. And, you know, so when he came for that next appointment, we were like, I'm sorry, we can't see you. Here's some other options for you.
Yeah. And that was the part of the conversation from January's meeting too, was those instances of, you know, abusive or really out of hand patients that need to be escorted out or immediately terminated.
I think just us requiring written notice is going to be enough
Mm-hmm.
enough of a task. I mean, and if they can get that, that's great.
I mean, I feel like at this stage of the game, most people would probably know that, you know, you can't discriminate based on, you know, race, gender, sexual orientation, you know, like, I feel like that's what we're talking about. So.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's obvious. And frankly, I think it can be an ever-changing list, depending. And so I don't think we need to provide a list.
Okay. It seems like that's the general consensus.
All right. Seth, is your coughing a motion?
I'm not used to wearing a tie. It's just odd. I think I'll start wearing one in the office so I feel fancy.
There's quite a few folks coming in. For those just joining us, we're actually discussing, we're in rulemaking for OAR 811-035-0005. Go ahead, Michelle. Sorry, I jumped in.
Oh, no, I was going to ask if anyone had any more comment or questions or motions.
Did we amend this?
Yes. The underlined is the amended part.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, just want to make sure. I mean,
so I can make a motion that we accept OAR 811-035-005 as amended.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, we'll vote. Seth,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Corey,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and an aye for myself. Motion carries. That closes rulemaking on OAR 811-035-0005.
Okay. So now we can actually temporarily adjourn public session and get into exec for case reviews.
All right. Oh, I got to read the thing.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. The Oregon Board of Chiropractic Examiners will now meet in executive session to consider information or records that are exempt from public inspection, including advice from legal counsel, and to consider information obtained as part of an investigation into licensee or applicant conduct. This executive session is held pursuant to ORS 192.6601, ORS 192.6602F and L, ORS 678.126, ORS 676.165, and ORS 676.1751. Members of the news media may remain during executive session but are directed not to report on, record, or otherwise disclose any of the deliberations or information discussed during the executive session. If you are a member of the public, attendees attending through Microsoft Teams will now be removed from the virtual room, and audience members attending in person are asked to leave the room for the duration of executive session. At the end of executive session, the board will return to public session for the purpose of taking formal actions on matters discussed in executive session. While the board is in public session, the public video stream will be available. If there are any questions about whether the board remains in executive session, you may contact info@obce.oregon.gov.
All right. So when do you want to meet in exec, Michelle?
9:40.
Okay.
right.
9:40. We'll see you there.